Welcome to The Explainer. We've finally reached the sharp end of the 2026 World Cup, and what a tournament it's been. The final four teams left standing are about to give us a historic, data-driven clash of absolute titans. But what's really deciding these matchups isn't just what you see on the ball. We're talking rising superstars, absolute legends looking for a fairy tale ending, fascinating tactical shifts, and some genuinely unprecedented environmental factors shaping the beautiful game. I'm absolutely thrilled to guide you through the gritty details drawn directly from the tournament data, match reports, and tactical analyses.
Okay, let's dive right into this. We're going to cover the heavyweight clash between England and Argentina, look at the massive advantage of climate-controlled stadiums, break down France taking on Spain, and finally, map out the road to the final.
All right, first up, a truly massive clash in Atlanta. England versus Argentina, the rising star meeting the last dance.
Now, these two international powerhouses haven't actually met on this stage since 2002. It's a renewed rivalry, but to really understand England's current run, we have to look at the singular phenomenon driving it: Jude Bellingham. Get this brilliant anecdote from striker Lukas Jutkiewicz. He described a 14-year-old Jude turning up to Birmingham City training in his literal school uniform, and he was already sitting down senior professionals in finishing drills. That sheer, audacious confidence at 14 perfectly humanizes the early genius of a kid who is now single-handedly taking over the world stage.
Now, what's really interesting here is when he scores. A massive 75% of his international goals have come at major tournaments, World Cups and the Euros. For us watching, that means he absolutely doesn't pad his stats in meaningless friendlies. He strikes when the lights are the brightest. He is the ultimate big-game player. In fact, after bagging braces against Mexico and Norway, he became the first player to score 2 or more goals in consecutive World Cup knockout matches since Diego Maradona did it in 1986. No way, right? It's just a phenomenal historic level of clutch performance.
But look, this semifinal is about way more than just one player. It is a clash of two fiercely determined squads. On one side, you've got England, instilled with this incredibly gritty, demanding, tactical approach under Thomas Tuchel. They haven't exactly been blowing teams away, but they have this desperate mental toughness now. And on the flip side, you have Argentina. They have had to fight for every single inch in the knockouts, barely scraping past teams they were heavily favored to beat. Why? Because their defining trait right now is just absolute, desperate unity. They're fighting tooth and nail to extend Lionel Messi's historic World Cup career, a last dance that's already seen Messi net a tournament-high 8 goals. It's basically the unstoppable force of England's newfound grit smashing into the immovable object of Argentina's emotional unity.
Let's move on and see how this builds, because there is a crucial external factor at play here: the climate-controlled advantage. So we have to establish the sheer physical problem facing everyone on the pitch. We're talking about soaring North American summer temperatures easily exceeding 35 degrees Celsius. That's over 95 degrees Fahrenheit, and often backed up by completely suffocating humidity. It's a massive physical hurdle that severely drains stamina and ruins pressing intensity. Usually, that means we see a huge drop-off in pace around the 60-minute mark and some really exhausted, sloppy mistakes. Honestly, 35 degrees Celsius is hot enough to melt the studs right off their boots.
But here's a fascinating did you know for you. Out of all the venues hosting games in this entire tournament, only 3 feature fully sealed, air-conditioned environments. We're talking about Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, AT&T Stadium in Dallas, and NRG Stadium in Houston. Because their roofs can close entirely, they create an indoor sanctuary that completely neutralizes that brutal summer heat. And it is absolutely no coincidence that FIFA placed both of our semifinal matchups in these exact stadiums. The teams won't have to battle the elements, which means we are pretty much guaranteed high-energy, high-intensity football from the first whistle to the last.
Which brings us perfectly to our second matchup: France versus Spain in Dallas, a pure battle of pace versus possession. If England and Argentina is a battle of grit and emotion, this one right here is a classic, heavyweight clash of opposing football philosophies. To really grasp France's game plan, we need to talk about a tactical concept called rest defense. This is basically the defensive shape a team holds while they are attacking. Back in 2022, France sat in a really deep, low block. But in 2026, their evolution has been dramatic. They now hold their rest defense incredibly high up the pitch, at an average of 62 meters. When you're watching the broadcast, pay attention to the exact second France loses the ball. Instead of retreating, watch them instantly swarm like hornets to suffocate the space and create lightning-fast counterattacking opportunities.
So, the crucial point is how this high-pressing French system collides with Spain's entire identity. Spain's philosophy is built entirely on midfield rhythm,
passing accuracy, and total possession control, orchestrated beautifully by Rodri. They just want to pass their opponents into submission, dragging defensive blocks from side to side until a tiny gap finally opens up. France, on the other hand, wants to invite that possession and sit slightly deeper. Even with Manu Kone potentially stepping up to replace an injured Aurelien Tchouameni, the game plan is exactly the same. Win the ball, spring the trap, and transition with terrifying pace. It's a tactical chess match of the highest order. Spain wants total control, France wants absolute chaos.
And this brilliantly illustrates where the danger really lies in this chess match, out on the flanks. Just look at the domestic season stats for Lamine Yamal and Michael Olise. They are arguably two of the best right-wingers in the world right now, but they play so differently. Yamal is an incredibly aggressive, high-volume ball carrier, averaging over 5 dribbles and 8.5 duels won per game. He just takes defenders on relentlessly. Olise, meanwhile, is an elite playmaker who picks his moments, focusing way more on delivering that killer final pass to runners in behind. They offer two completely different but equally deadly paths to greatness on the right wing. And honestly, either of their individual performances could easily decide this entire semifinal.
So, with all that set, let's look at the ultimate road to the final.
We've broken down the tactics, the rising superstars, the legends, and the unique climate-controlled environments these teams are going to be battling in. The stakes quite literally could not be higher. So what does this all mean? Will it be the unrelenting grit of Tuchel's England, or the emotional, unified resilience of Messi's Argentina? Will Spain finally pass their way to glory? Or will the blistering transition pace of France just prove too much to handle? Who will survive the heat, outsmart the tactics, and conquer the pressure to lift the 2026 World Cup trophy? The beautiful game is about to give us our answer. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and enjoy the semifinals.